In the world of finance, there is a number that is treated as almost sacred. The first $100,000. From Charlie Munger to modern-day investment gurus, everyone says the same thing. Do whatever it takes to get that first $100K. I don't care if you have to clip coupons, walk everywhere, or never eat out, just get to that number. But here's the thing no one tells you. The story doesn't end there. In fact, the most dangerous part of the journey starts the moment you hit that milestone. Most people fall into a trap of vast, silent, dead zone between $100,000 and $1 million that nobody prepares you for. It's a kind of financial purgatory. You're not poor anymore, but you're definitely not rich yet. This is why so many people plateau in this range and never actually see those seven figures. The truth is, the habits that got you to $100K are the very things that will prevent you from reaching $1 million. The moment you hit six figures, the rules of the game don't just change. They flip upside down. Have you ever noticed how, at the beginning of the journey, everything feels like a physical fight? Going from 0 to 100K is like pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. You're sweating for every inch of progress. Saving hurts. Working overtime is exhausting, and that boulder, it's waiting for 1 second of weakness to crush you and roll back to the bottom. At this stage, there is only one king: your savings rate. Your investment returns barely matter. Even if you're a genius and make a 10% return on a $1,000 portfolio, that's only $100. That's a nice dinner, not a life-changing event. At this point, the boulder moves because of your muscle, not the markets. But once you hit $100K, the boulder finally reaches the plateau. It doesn't require as much raw effort to keep it moving. Momentum starts to take over. And that is exactly where the danger lies, in the false sense of security that momentum provides. Here's what people rarely mention. $100,000 creates a psychological illusion of completion. You tell yourself, I did it, I have a cushion. But you are actually at your most vulnerable. Why? Because $100K isn't enough to make you wealthy, but it is enough to make you confident enough to make life-altering mistakes. It's like being in the middle of the ocean. You've sailed far enough that you can no longer see the shore you left. But you can't see the horizon of the new world yet. You can't go back, but you're not sure if you have enough fuel to get to the end. This hidden level requires more than just a change in strategy. It requires a complete identity shift. The real barrier here isn't math. It's psychology. Behavioral economics tells us that humans hate losing twice as much as they love winning. When you have $10,000, a 20% market crash hurts you lose $2,000. It sucks, but your life goes on. But when you grinded your way to $500,000, that same 20% dip wipes out a $100,000 in a flash. That's your entire holy grail. The first big fortress you spent years building gone overnight. When you see a full year's or two salary evaporate in a week, how long does your rational investor persona actually last? This is where most people break. Panic sets in, strategies are abandoned, and all that momentum is flushed away. The road from 100K to 100K is essentially the adolescence of your relationship with money. It's awkward, confusing, and you're prone to making massive mistakes under pressure. Racking about feelings is fine, but numbers don't lie, though they do like to hide the truth sometimes. Let's say you're saving $1,000 a month and getting a 7% return. Reaching that first 100K times takes about 7 to 8 years. During almost that entire time, you are doing the heavy lifting, not the interest. But the path from 100K to 100K isn't a straight line. This is where the famous hockey stick curve of compound interest kicks in. However, there's a catch. Going from 100K to 200K still feels agonizingly slow. You're still in that "is this even working" phase. But by the time you hit 500K, something magical happens. Suddenly, the annual returns on your investments start producing more money than the $1,000 you're sacrificing to save every month. Here is the point most people miss. If you don't shift your focus from "how much am I saving" to "how efficiently is my capital working," that million-dollar dream stays a dream. Most people stay stuck in the saver mindset, obsessing over $5 expenses while making massive portfolio management errors that cost them thousands. In this hidden level, you are no longer a saver. You have to become an allocator. This is exactly what most people miss. If you don't shift your focus from how much am I tucking away to how hard are my assets actually working, that $1 million dream will never become a reality. Many people keep acting as if they still have a net worth of zero even after hitting 100K ties. They obsess over tiny, insignificant expenses while losing thousands of dollars to massive portfolio management errors or poor tax planning. It's like the CEO of a major corporation spending his afternoon counting the cost of paper cups in the break room while the company's core strategy falls apart. After 100K, you are no longer just a saver. You have to become a capital allocator. You have to be the person who directs the flow of money to where it grows best. Why is this shift so difficult? Because we are biologically wired to fear change. Think about it. To go from nothing to 100K dollars, you had to be disciplined, tight-fisted, and incredibly frugal. That was your armor. It protected you. But by the time you hit 500K dollars, that same armor starts to get heavy. It slows you down. At this level, you can't just play defense anymore. You have to learn how to take calculated risks. For example, imagine someone who spent years hunting for discounts and guarding every penny. They now have 400K's ass, but they're so terrified of losing it all that they keep it in low-yield safe accounts. Inflation is quietly eating them alive, but they feel secure. What they don't realize is that in this critical zone between 100Ks and 1 mile, the real danger isn't a market dip. It's the risk of being left behind because you are too afraid to play the game. Most people think of wealth as a static destination. They think once they hit 1 mils, all their problems will vanish. Trust me, it doesn't work like that. $1 million is just the byproduct. What actually matters is the person you become on the way there. If you reach 500K dollars but you're still operating from a scarcity mindset, $1 million will only make you more anxious. You have to change your perspective. Defense isn't enough. You need an intelligent offense. This is also where most people fall into the lifestyle creep trap. Your salary goes up, your portfolio grows, and suddenly you tell yourself, I've earned this luxury car, or I deserve a bigger house. The fastest way to sabotage the road to $1 million is to give yourself an early victory trophy when you're only halfway through the race. So, how do you escape this early celebration trap? This is where the real secret lies. Many people throw in the towel between 100K and 300 Kayans and 300Ks. Why? Because this is what I call the boring middle. When you were working toward that first 100K, the adrenaline and the sense of achievement kept you going. But the road from 100K to 300K, it's like trekking through a desert. The scenery never changes. You're doing the same things every day, saving the same way, but you aren't seeing those massive, life-changing leaps yet. This is exactly when most people say, okay, I've done enough. I should probably start living a little, and they take their foot off the gas. But they don't realize this is the exact moment the engine is finally starting to warm up. At this stage, you have to completely flip the time versus money equation. When you started with nothing, you had plenty of time but no money. So you did everything yourself. You hunted for the cheapest flights. You agonized over every cent. But once you're around the 500K dollar mark, the value of your time starts to exceed the daily fluctuations of your portfolio. If you are still spending 2 hours of your life just to save $20, you are actually building wealth. You're just creating a low-paying job for yourself. Success in this hidden level is about delegation. Not just delegating tasks, but delegating decisions. Instead of micromanaging every tiny detail, you need to focus on systems and efficiency. Tax advantages, low commission index funds, and high-level portfolio rebalancing. These are the things that deserve your energy now. Look, here's the thing most people don't get. Between $100,000 and $1 million, your biggest enemy isn't the market, it's your own inability to sit still. As your balance grows, you start feeling like a high-stakes fund manager. You feel the urge to constantly buy and sell, check the news every 10 minutes, and jump into every next big thing. It's like digging up a seedling every single day just to check on the roots. What that seedling needs most is time, not your interference. At this stage, doing absolutely nothing is often your most valuable and hardest skill. Do you know how much mental strength it takes to just stay put? Most people who hit the $1 million mark aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones with the best temperament. They built a plan, and then they muted the noise of the world. Now, let's talk about the dark side of the rich mindset. No one mentions this, but when you hit that $500,000 to $600,000 range, a strange kind of loneliness sets in. The wealth gap between you and your old friends becomes impossible to hide. While they are still venting about how to make it to the end of the month, you're pondering the yield of inflation-protected bonds. It's not about being arrogant. It's about being on a completely different wavelength. This is exactly where many people stumble. They start spending money just to seek social validation. They dive into luxury just to fit back in. It's like stopping 5 kilometers before the end of a marathon just to join the people having a picnic on the sidelines. The truth is, you don't need a new car. You need a community of people who think like you. This journey is a bit solitary, and those who can't make peace with that solitude usually never see the 7-figure mark. The real secret lies here. The difference between 100K and 1 miles is how you use leverage. And I'm not just talking about debt. I'm talking about mental and systemic leverage. The moment you stop seeing your money as a savings pile and start seeing it as an army of soldiers working for you, everything changes. Think of every dollar as a soldier. If one soldier dies, meaning you take a loss, you don't fall apart emotionally. You look at the general strategy of the army. If every dip in the market crushes your spirit, you're still operating with that old fearful mindset. The road to 1 meals is a road where emotions fade and discipline takes the wheel. Consider 2 investors, both with $300,000. One tracks the market daily, hunts for hot tips, panics and sells during a 5% dip, and then buys back in when prices are higher. The other has their investments on autopilot and checks the portfolio once every 6 months. 10 years later, the second person has a significantly higher probability of winning. Why? Because they understood that wealth is less about IQ and more about character. When it comes to risk, most people think you should become more cautious after $100,000. There's some truth to that, but the real danger is opportunity cost risk. If you keep your money in a low-interest, safe account just to feel secure, you're actually losing thousands every year to inflation and missed market gains. It's like someone who never leaves their house to stay safe, but ends up getting sick from a lack of movement. You can't avoid risk on the way to $1 million. You just have to figure out which risks are worth taking. Distinguishing a calculated risk from a gamble is what separates the millionaires from the rest. I said something at the beginning of this video. The habits that got you to 100K knives won't carry you to 1 ml. Up to 100K knives, you learned how to say no to eating out, no to the new iPhone. But after $100K, you have to learn how to say yes. Yes to the right opportunities, yes to calculated risks, and most importantly, yes to investing in yourself. You can't score goals if you're only playing defense. Reaching $1 million isn't just about protecting what you have, it's about finally learning how to play the game. As we wrap up, I want you to ask yourself one question. Why do you want that $1 million? If your only goal is to see a 7-figure number in your bank account, you're likely going to feel a strange sense of emptiness when you finally get there, because money on its own doesn't bring happiness. But the discipline, the analytical mind, and the relentless grit you developed on the journey to get there, those are the things that will actually change your life. This hidden level between $100,000 and $1 million is essentially a character test. The market will constantly whisper in your ear, give up, spend it, be afraid. Your job is to mute those voices and wait for that massive boulder to start rolling down the other side of the hill under its own weight. Once momentum is on your side, Just step back and watch, because sometimes the greatest financial success comes from doing absolutely nothing while you sip your coffee. If you're currently feeling stuck in that void between 100 kills and $1 M, honestly, kudos to you. You're in the most difficult yet most rewarding part of the game. The boulder is almost at the edge. It's about to tip. Don't just keep pushing blindly. Sometimes you just need to make sure the path ahead is clear and let gravity do the rest. What has been the biggest challenge for you in this journey so far? Or how are you getting through the boring middle? Let's talk in the comments, because walking this path together is always better than going at it alone. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, manage your money well, but take even better care of your character. Bye for now.